I woke up looking like a motherfucking kingo. Hingo. 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 Hey. Bow, 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 bow. Oh, I need help, yo. For those who don't know, I've lost my mind long ago. I never quite got it back. But I refuse to give in these moments. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. My movie was great. But I'm going to derail it with the Vita too. To make you wait for the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel bad because I meant to stream earlier today and people came over and kind of fucked all that up. Even when I'm off, I don't get a break. It's like the worst feeling in the world, bro. That shit sucks. When you off and it still feel like you're doing work. What kind of shit is that? Well, as one might say, it's some bull cocky. It's funny because as I'm talking to you guys, I'm also got Tyrone on my other screen going through the Budokai game. So I'm like watching him because I want him to beat these Cell Juniors before, like, so I don't want to miss that, but I still got to stream to you guys and talk. So we're gonna still talk about fucking the Vita 2 and what the fuck it's supposed to be. I don't technically it's not the Vita 2. Based off of what we were reading and what I looked up, the new PlayStation Handheld is essentially just remote play as a console, which, you know, yeah. Nice, Ryan Sword. Good job, buddy. Just give a letter grade. We'll go into the spoilers a little later. You're gonna love a grade. I don't want to go too deep into that yet, because obviously we have other things to talk about. Is this it? I'm trying to find the best. Was it maybe Forbes would be the best one to look at? I should have just put Q Light in the chat. That would have made the most sense that way. So yeah, we got the Q Light, and then there's supposed to be a PS5 Pro. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. We'll give it a couple minutes for people to kind of pop in. It's only, I feel like I haven't done this in a minute, so it's kind of overdue. A plus, damn. By the way, you like King of Lightning. Yeah, Chewy. I've heard that. Haven't heard that. Well, haven't heard that in a bit. It's come up before. The irony is when you predate King of Lightning, but because everyone knows, but because King of Lightning is more popular in the community, I always get that reference, which is funny because I know he doesn't get the "you look like the insane game freak." It's I look like King of Lightning because King of Lightning's more popular. I have a important question. Is this video called the Persona System console? It is not a Ryan Sword. You knew it wasn't going to. That's copyright infringement. Because right now, that's the Switch. The Switch is maintaining that name. Also, even if that was the case, the Vita has had that name for years. We can't just go around stealing names. That's not fair, bro. The Vita is the original. The Vita is the original Persona console. So, as you can tell by the title, we are going to talk about the Mario movie. It's just not the main thing we're going to talk about. We got other things we got to bring up first. Ooh, and it looks like oh no, Tyrone's Badu! Sorry, I'm watching him. I think he can grind it out. Grind it out, Tyrone. Grind it out. Oh, that hurt me, dog. He was so close on that one. All right. We got about 7 people in here. I think we can talk about it. So, there's been a bunch of reports of like Sony specific stuff coming on. And so we're going to talk about a couple things here. And then we're going to talk about so here's the information I see. Sony is indeed working on a new handheld codenamed the Q Lite. I don't know why Q Lite. That might be a reference to something. I'm not sure. But that's the code name. It looks like a PS5 controller, but with an 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the middle. It will include adaptive triggers for haptic feedback like the DualSense. It supports adaptive streaming up to 1080 and 60 FPS, requiring constant internet access for remote play. It is not streaming games from the cloud, it is streaming them from your existing PS5. The Q Lite may be released before the PS5 Pro, which is, according to this report, is aiming for a holiday 2024 release, which would be roughly on schedule with the PS4 Pro's timing. So, have you ever tried buying an electric bike? Nah. It's funny, I just came from the gym anyway. So that's the general gist of what we got, is that we're getting a PS5 Pro towards the end of next year, and that this handheld will be released before that Pro. So within the next year and a half, I would say, we will probably have the new handheld. The weird thing about the handheld doesn't sound like it's really meant for gaming. Like, it doesn't seem like it's its own console. It doesn't even, like, literally it's just like, hey, do you own a PS5? You should buy this for handheld gaming. Which I don't know if that's really a good idea, because what you're essentially saying is, I'm going to make a PlayStation handheld that requires you to own a PS5. So instead of just buying one console, you would have to buy the console and this to have the ability to play PS5 games in handheld at 1080p 60 frames per second. Although the problem is you're just streaming. It doesn't sound like it's going to have its own games. It sounds like its whole goal is to just stream from the PS5, which it's a little, I don't know how I feel about that, because it also means, because I don't know how many people, I don't know, for those who own the PlayStation 5 or even the 4, or even did that, what was it, the PS TV? How many of you guys use remote play and it worked like flawlessly for you? Because I don't remember remote play using that way. Yeah, that's essentially what it sounds like, Apex. It sounds like it's a remote play machine. But I'm like, why would you need that? Because the only time I'll be able to use it is really in my house, or we're doing that like constant internet connection. So okay, fine, I'm not streaming games from the cloud. I'm streaming them from my PS5. So my PS5 has to be always hooked to the internet. Wherever I'm at, I need to be hooked to the internet. And then hopefully I get a consistent stream for those. Remote play delay is incredibly laggy. That's what I was about to say, because the few times I've tried it, that's literally been the problem. Like, does it work? Sure, but is it consistent? Oh, hell no. Absolutely not. So what you're telling me is that cloud gaming in general has its own problems in itself. And I get that this isn't cloud gaming, but most people would argue this is like a variation of cloud gaming. And cloud gaming already has shown us that they are not ready for that one-to-one experience. The only positive experience I've gotten with any sort of cloud streaming gaming was surprisingly with Stadia. Stadia, I had pretty much a flawless experience, other than probably input lag, which is something you can't really avoid because it's online play. But it wasn't noticeable enough for me to be like, oh fuck, this input lag is gonna screw me. But my thing is, like, knowing that, because even if you pretend like remote play is gonna work better than cloud gaming, there's still gonna be input lag. And there are just certain games you never want to stream. There are games you just want to have in your hand and you want to play directly. That's why motherfuckers use wired controllers. So I'm not playing Street Fighter 6 with it, because I'm just not going to deal with that nonsense. I'm not about to deal with the nonsense that essentially devolves into, I hit a button and then I got to wait like 4 to 5 seconds before it registers on the screen. Am I going to play things like God of War Ragnarok? Am I going to play Miles Morales? Am I going to play Horizon Forbidden West? And the other thing I find weird is that PlayStation already doesn't have a lot going on this year. Like, what major title do we know that's coming out? Because what? Suicide Squad got delayed, from what I remember. I'm trying to think what else is coming out. for PlayStation that would get people like excited, because I don't know of much of anything at this point. And is Spider-Man for this year? I don't even remember if Spider-Man's for this year. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. I don't even think they've mentioned. And then, of course, we don't even know the price of this thing either. I think it's 2024. It's going to be more for Sony and Nintendo. But to me, it's weird because I'm like, are they just saying fuck this month? I mean, this year? Because that's what it comes off as. Final Fantasy 16 and Street Fighter 6. Yeah, which are both summer titles. That does nothing for their holiday lineup. And usually, unlike Nintendo, they're kind of more like, hey, this is what's coming out over the next year kind of thing. There's Wolverine, The Rise of Ronin, and Stellar Blade. Wolverine we don't know when the fuck that's coming out. I gotta look up Rise of Ronin. Actually, I almost want to look up. I want to look up the release date of games for them. Let me see. PlayStation, PS5, exclusives 2023. Let me see. We got 8 new PS5 exclusives. What we got? Season, A Letter to Future, which looks like a... Yeah, I think that's just an indie game. Forspoken, which has already come out. Although that's timed, so that's coming out later. The Horizon VR, Stellar Blade, which I don't think comes out until... What? I don't know if they even put down a release for Stellar Blade yet. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is, I believe, a port. No. This is the sequel. But we also don't know when this is supposed to come out at the end of this year at some point. Spider-Man 2, which is another... We don't know when it's coming out. We just know... Oh, apparently it's fall 2023. Final Fantasy 16, which we know is coming out in the summer. So the only ones I know about right now that are coming out this year is Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Stellar Blade, which doesn't seem to have a fucking release date. That's the other thing that's kind of weird. Like, a lot of this shit does not have release dates. Which to me is kind of bad considering... let's see. When is this thing supposed to come out? It just says 2023, which, you know, we're already in April, so I'm kind of like, are we going to hear anything? Like, we need to hear something by June at least. June or July, you need to already have something coming out, because this is getting kind of dumb. Especially when, like, what's about to happen is that we're about to hit, we got this month, what the hell? What is this? Oh. We got this month, which, for me personally, the only thing I can think of is, I think, honestly, it's just, what, Boot Camp? Advance Wars? That's like the only thing that sticks out of my mind of something that's about to happen. That's about to come out, I mean. And then next month is Zelda, which is going to control everybody's lives. And then June, you got Final Fantasy, and then you got Street Fighter 6. And I don't think fucking does Xbox have anything coming out this year, bro? It trips me out that every time we get into this gaming season, it feels like it's like weirdly, like it feels like I've been trying to catch up because of the console games I'm into and the handful of third parties I'm fucking with. Like obviously I just got Resident Evil 4 and whatnot, and there's still a couple other titles I want to grab, like Octopath 2 and whatnot. But like when I think, then I look at the future and I'm like, well, what's coming out the rest of the year? And to be fair, I'm like this with Nintendo too, because Nintendo only really set themselves up until July. Like Pikmin 4 is July. And then May is Zelda, so and then June's kind of a gap. But like, oh, the collection. That's right, the collection's coming out. But that's a collection. I don't really put that on the same. If it was like a Resident Evil 4 situation where it was like a full-on remake, sure. What I'm saying is we don't have like a lot of heavy hitters. It feels like after the summer, or we just don't know about them. Now, Spider-Man 2, if that comes out late 2023, like, cool. But, like, as of right now, we're still in the, I don't know if this is going to happen. And then that's where my suspicion kicks in. Because I'm like, And then I'm hearing these rumors about a portable system. I'm like, bro, why even do this? Like, the Pro to me is kind of hilarious because I'm like, y'all haven't put out enough exclusives for me to be like, man, I really need a Pro system. Now, I would get it because I don't own the console. That's the reason why I would get it, because I don't own the system. That's actually part of the reason why I'm not in a hurry to buy the system. Because I'm like, if you're going to release a Pro next year, and I ain't got nothing I really need to play right now, man, I'll just wait until next year and get it. That's actually literally where my thought process is currently. Because why would I invest the money into a console that's going to be considered obsolete in a year by its older brother? Like, the fuck? Now, I don't really see who the fuck the remote play system, the Q Lite, is going to be for. Because what you're saying is, you're essentially saying the Q Lite is for someone who is like a Switch owner who wants to play games mobile, but doesn't mind the absurd amounts of lag they're going to have to deal with when it comes to remote playing shit. And the console itself doesn't seem to have any other interesting features, because all I'm hearing is 1080p touchscreen. You can play it at 60 frames, 1080p, 60 frames a second. And what was the other? Oh, and then it has the touchscreen. I'm like, well, so it's like a slightly better Switch in terms of that. That's about it. What significant changes are they doing for the PS5 Pro if they've been confirmed? Let's look. People are just talking about there being a PS5 Pro in general, not anything specific, but I'll look. Let's see. They're releasing some new earphones for the PS5, a new headset, a PS5 Pro, and then they're also releasing a new PS5 with a detachable disc drive, which I don't understand. What is the point of a detachable disc drive? That just sounds like the digital edition. Actually, what is the point of a detachable disc drive? I'm trying to think about what's the goal of having a detachable disc drive. An entirely PS5 with a detachable disc drive, meaning I can remove the disc drive. But why would I want to do that? Or what is the advantage of removing the disc drive? Like, having a removable disc drive is kind of like a nice customizable thing, but what's the goal? But yeah, Apex, you say that, but I'm like, they have to have a reason. Like, I know we can't come up with a reason, but Sony needs to have a reason for why you would sit there and say that you have I got a PS. Hey guys, you want to buy this PS5 that you can detach the disc drive on? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense that there wouldn't be anything, and that's what's fucking with me. Because I'm like, a removable disc drive just means you wouldn't. But you're paying for the console for the ability to remove your disc drive. What is the advantage of removing your disc drive in a PS5? Because there's already a discless version. There's a digital only version. So what would it be? You have a digital only PS5 already. So what's the advantage of fucking? Yeah, what's the advantage of having a? I'm racking my brain, dog. Because that means and it's not that it doesn't have a disc drive, it's the fact that you can remove it. What is the goal of removing a disc drive? You're better off putting a physical version of the system. The built-in SSD is already fast. Launching games is less than 10 seconds. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, if that's the case, just get the digital. Like, I don't understand the advantage. Because to me, my thought process is, if you really don't care about having a disc drive like that on your system, wouldn't you just get the digital version that essentially bypasses all that shit? Unless you want the cheapness of buying it. You want the physical advantage of having it, but the digital advantage. There's gotta be something else going on with that console. It can't just be the fact that the disc drive detaches. Like, there's gotta be other features to it. Because to me, you're gonna have to really explain that to even justify why it's like that in the first place. But what else? The PS5 handheld device was released before the Pro. The PS5 with detachable disc drive, which is Henderson also leaked, will come out sometime before the two devices. Okay, so the detachable disc drive PS5 will come out before the Q Lite, which will come out before the Pro, which the Pro is set to be holiday 2024. So what? Are we gonna say the beginning of next year is the fucking detachable disc drive PS5, then the Q Lite's in the middle of the year, and then the fucking Pro rounds off at the end of the year? The increase in storage would be the only viable option, even though people would go towards purchasing internal NVMe SSDs that have been on sale for a while. Can get 2 terabytes for 150. Yeah, so that makes more sense to me. I can understand all that. If you told me, oh yeah, the reason why we're doing it is so like, if it's that you can then use that space to like insert an extra hard drive, like you can like, there's got to be something else. I want home, and then on top of that, the PS has the VR2 even been selling well? I almost completely forgot to bring it up because the VR2 came out, what was it, like a month ago almost? Let me see. Sony's made small tweaks to the PS5 console since the launch. This seems like a more drastic change. Sony may be preparing to unify in terms of power, as fans can expect this new PS5 console to be about the same as the other models, but the detachable disc drive will be its defining feature. This supposed digital-only PS5 console will also reportedly be on its own, as well as a bundle with the disc drive. The disc drive is to be expected, so the report claims that the existing PS5 console will be replaced. Oh, okay. I think I got it. It makes more sense now. Based off of what it's saying here, is that the disk drive itself is expected to be sold separately. So really, what they're selling you is a digital. Is that it's essentially like, hey, do you want your digital only PS5? Cool. But if you spend a little bit more, you can turn your digital only PS5 into a traditional PS5 by having a disk drive that can now attach. That's essentially what it's doing. It's a, hey, you have a digital only PS5. If you want to make it a disc one, but you already own the digital, instead of having to buy the full one, like a brand new one, you can just buy the disc drive. The other thing they mention is that those who have existing PS5 digital edition consoles should be able to use it well. Meaning that no matter if you're buying a new digital PS5 system, or if you buy if you're buying a new digital only PS5, or you already have one, you can essentially buy this hard drive to turn it into a traditional PS5. The report claims that the existing PS5 consoles will be completely replaced by this new model. So we may get to the point where the PS5 digital edition consoles are effectively the only choice to consumers. Which, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like they're essentially saying you're going to have to go all digital, and if you want to play with discs, you have to pay more. Which is technically what it is now, to be fair. Like, most digital only consoles are cheaper than their physical counterparts, right? So instead of, it's essentially doing what already exists. It's just that now they're viewing the default as the digital console. Like the default to Sony is the digital PS5. So that's what it is. You will not, once this happens next year, you will have a digital only PS5 with the option to make it discs. Make an option to make it disc worthy. Then you'll have the Q Lite for remote play, and then you'll have the Pro for the gamer who won't mow. Now I don't know what the mow is, and I don't know how much mow is gonna be, but the point is that's how they're handling it. Which I would say I'm more apprehensive about, but I guess I get it. My question is the digital edition selling enough to justify making it the default? But I guess technically it is easier to get rid of something and then make it buyable as a detachable thing than it is to like have a digital only have a disc only PS5 and then be like, well, we're just gonna make it digital, but there's no way to like remove the disc drive. So I guess I get it, but like you said, Apex, if it's how much is the disk drive? That's going to be the biggest question, because if the disk drive, like how much isn't the difference between a PS5 and a digital PS5 like $100, right? Like I just want to see how much is a PS5 digital? Isn't it like 400? Shut up. Oh, that's TSS starting to stream. It's like $100 difference. Okay, so that means to get a digital PS5 costs you $400, right? And they're planning to essentially make just an attachment for this console. If the fucking attachment is $100, why wouldn't I just buy the problem is, to make that a viable option to me, you would have to just make the PS5, either you got to make this, like, it has to be like $50. To me, that would make the most sense. That would make the most sense for it to be worth it, because the whole point is that the digital edition, unless, I guess, well, technically, if they're playing the game, that means this thing can't be more than $100. I guess that I'll put it that way. If a normal PS5 is $500, you can't then make the digital $400, keep the digital at $400, and then make the disc drive $150. If the bitch is $100, it's already like, okay, I guess. But my thing is, then if people are just gonna buy a normal PS5. But I see what they're doing. If you phase out the original PS5, then this is your only option. But it better still equal up to $500. That's my thought process. Like, either that or it should be less. It should be $500 or less. Regardless of how they want to do it, it should not go over $500. And there are ways to even save money on discs. Can get new games physically for $10, so less. Yeah, even cheaper than the digital sales on PS. Oh no, absolutely. The way I've always, so here I want to put this in context. I think I've explained this before, but when I owned a PS4, well, I say that like I don't still have it. My PS4 Pro, when I bought it, my initial intention was to go all digital. That was what I was going to do. I was going to go all digital with the PS4. The reason why I didn't do that is because going all digital with a console only, to me, works in terms of being cheaper, unless A, the console itself, like the company, has this really good digital rewards program, or B, you don't buy shit as soon as it comes out. Like, if you're a gamer who plays laps, like let's say you won't play a game until like a year or two later, there is no reason to go only digital, because you're still spending the same amount that you would if you just bought it brand new. Like, if I want to buy, I don't know, let's say I want to buy Resident Evil 4 Remake, right? It's not cheaper online versus just buying it in the store on release day. The only way it's cheaper is if I wait a while and then it becomes cheaper. The kicker is, though, the disc version will go through the same thing. Like, realistically, the disc version of Resident Evil 4 will get just as cheap as the digital version is. So my thought process is, the only reason why I would go digital is if I'm someone who isn't playing games like 2 or 3 years out. Like, I gotta be the same thing I'd say about Game Pass. Unless I'm a motherfucker who's playing games like 2 or 3 years after the fact, there's no point. Like when, give an example, when Persona 5 Royal blew up on Game Pass, that was partly because A, you couldn't get to the game before, and B, because a lot of those gamers had never touched that game. That's like a lot of Xbox people don't touch games like Persona 5. So I wasn't fucking surprised. Even cheaper than, but yeah, my whole thing is this. If this is the replacement, if this is how we're doing it, where instead of giving me a price drop, you're essentially just replacing the physical version of the PS5 with the digital version, making the disc an option to buy. The disc itself cannot be anything higher than $100. If it is $150 or $120 or $200, I would suggest, for those who have no interest in the Pro, go ahead and buy the motherfucking disc version before they wipe that bitch out. The fact that they put is the God of War bundle still $509? Because I could have swore I've seen it. I could have swore I've seen it at like 509, bro. Which still. So if it is like, and I'll just look real quick. Let's look. Wait a minute. Oh no, the PS5 is like $459. When did the PS5 get a when did the PS5 get a price drop? And it's like a permanent. Oh wait, never mind. What? What? What just happened? It's like my screen glitched out. I'm so confused what just happened. Oh, this goes off after April 16th. So we still got like another 8 days. Or 9. 8 or 9 days before it goes off. I don't know what happened. Like I looked at my screen for a second and it glitched out and it fucked with me. Because I looked over and went, oh, the PS5 is $459. What the fuck happened there? Then I looked back over and went, oh, it's 500. Did the screen glitch on me or was I just crazy? I don't know. The point I'm making is that essentially the PS5 is that if they want to do this whole diskless version being default, the disc attachment can't be more than $100. Also, they're trying to get you to buy way too much shit for this fucking console. Now I think about it, and this is coming from a Nintendo fan who, if you know, and Nintendo fans all know, Nintendo has a habit, especially with their consoles, of making you buy extra shit. It became really apparent, probably more so in the handheld department, but the consoles weren't immune. The Wii was notorious for a bunch of fucking accessories. Even the Switch has its own chunk of accessories, okay? So, yeah. But, like, with the PS5, it's like, listen, do you want the ultimate PS5 experience? You know what you should do? You should buy the PlayStation 5. Then you should buy the PlayStation 5 VR 2, which isn't backwards compatible. So, if you have the VR, if you have OG VR, that shit won't work with VR 2 games. So you have to buy the VR 2, which is another $500. So I'm like, well, is it still 500? It probably is. I mean, it hasn't been out that long. I can't imagine this thing being anything. Let's see. Get out of here. No, I'm lying. It's $550. It's actually, what the fuck? The VR2 is more expensive than the PlayStation 5. And here's the kicker. You need the PS5 to play it. So to invest in the VR2 experience, you have to spend $1,000, over $1,000 on the two devices. Unless you just already had a PS5, which, you know, people didn't really start getting those until like a year or so ago. It's been like a year since you can like availably get a PS5. So now I'm looking at it like, so okay, fine. You gotta get a PlayStation 5, then a VR2, which is another $550, which now puts you at $1,050. Then you might want some games. And then if you want a more handheld experience, you should buy the Q Lite, which I have no fucking idea where the hell that's gonna land. Because if you look at the Switch's cheapest model is like what, $300 to $250, because the OLED is $350. I think the default Switch is $300, and I think the Lite is $250, right? So $250 is for the cheapest version of the Switch. The more affordable version, the version that most people would want, is probably either the default Switch or the OLED, which are both $300 or more. And then you got things like the fucking Steam Deck, which, let me just reiterate here. How much is the Steam Deck again? Let's look. I'm surprised this bitch isn't on the front page. There it is. How much is the Steam Deck currently? The Steam Deck, from what I remember, the cheapest version of that bitch is $400. $400. That is the cheapest version of that console. And this bitch isn't even 1080p. I just want to put that in context. The Steam Deck that people kept calling the Switch killer is $400 at least. And the bitch still isn't at 1080p. Its fucking screen resolution is the same, is a little bit better. I think it's a little bit better than the Switches, right? The Switches, I believe, is like 720. This bitch is like 1280 by 800. So it's an 800p screen versus a 720p screen. And this is Steam. So when I'm thinking about this, right? I'm thinking about the QLED and thinking how much they charge for the VR. I'm like, the QLED is really just an overgrown remote play device. But technically, if you still sold it, it's essentially still a handheld. It's just a handheld whose main thing is being incredibly limited by the PS5 library, which some of you would go, the PS5 library isn't limited. It's not great, okay? I want us to be real here. When people talk about the library between the PlayStation consoles, the PS2 had the biggest library. The PS3 had a bigger library. Had a slightly smaller library. The PS4's library is smaller than the PS3's, and the PS5's is looking to be smaller than the PS4. Because remember, these consoles are going into their third year. They came out, 2020? They came out 2020, and these bitches are hitting their third year, and and PlayStation's over here talking about a handheld after just releasing its $550 VR experience. Like, bro, what? So if we're gonna humor it, that means the QLED, knowing them. Now the difference is that the QLED isn't meant to be an extension. Isn't meant to be. The QLED can't really stand on its own realistically because it doesn't have its own library. It's essentially just It's just an extension of the PS5. So by that logic, I would like to think we can view it as such, meaning that they won't charge as much as they shouldn't for it. Like, if this thing is meant to be an extension of the PlayStation 5, then I shouldn't be spending the same amount as I'm spending on a Switch or a Steam Deck, which are both consoles that have their own games and their own library on these bitches, okay? So, but that being said, and those in the chat, you guys can also perk up and say anything if you want to. I'm thinking, just off of that logic, this bitch shouldn't be anything more than like, what? I want to say like maybe, I'm thinking 300 or less. It really shouldn't even be 300. It really should be like 200 to 250. Because it's not its own console. It's not like the Switch. It's not like the Steam Deck, where those two are their own consoles. This thing is an extension of the PS5. You are correct in that statement, Apex, because that's the other thing. We haven't even talked about the Pro yet. I don't understand what the point of the Pro is at this point. Because it wasn't, the PS5 for the most part has been hitting its marks with its games. So people have been looking at the PS5 going, I don't know, bro, you just ain't hitting that 4K 60 like I want it, right? Like, most people are pretty happy with their PS5s. I've really heard no issue with the console itself. So recognizing that, my then question goes into, well, if we acknowledge that, then if we acknowledge that, right, then what is the Pro for? Like, how much better is the Pro going to be? Because you're already getting locked 1080 60 on everything, and most things are going up to like 4K 60. Now, I think there's not a lot of native 4K shit. I don't think anything goes up to native 4K 60. Is there anything on PS5? I guess I should check. I don't think there's anything on PS5 that's native 4K 60, right? Let's see. I expect 4K at a stable 60 to 120 frame rate. Cat counts Resident Evil. So fucking the things that are supposed to hit it. RE4 is supposed to hit it and can't maintain it without dropping the resolution. Stray, I think, hits it. Yeah, Stray hits it. Persona 5 Royal hits it, which isn't really a big deal. Looks like Call of Duty hits it. And then looks like Tina's Tiny Wonderland hits it. Let's see. Octopath Traveler 2 hits it, but that's not anything crazy. Let's see. Far Cry 6, Astro's Playroom, Genshin, Monster Hunter Rise, which isn't really saying a lot. Let's see. No, it tries to. It doesn't. It's not locked, unless you like lower the resolution. So yeah, that'd be the only reason you would get a Pro PS5 for locked 4K 60. And I don't even believe that's gonna happen realistically. Most of the games on here that even are locked for that shit are games that aren't that intensive, except for maybe a few exceptions. Hey Navy, we're talking about PS5 currently. But yeah, when I'm looking at almost every game they're mentioning are either games that came out on previous console generations and they're now just locked on PS5, or games that weren't that intensive in the first place. There's a few exceptions, but almost everything is that. Or games that aren't as intensive. Almost all that shit. There's a few exceptions. And some of the ones that are on here aren't even locked. They're just aiming for it. So the only advantage you could really tell me is, hey guys, now look, listen. You guys can buy yourselves a PS5 Pro and get yourself a locked 4K 60 frames on most major titles. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't really know if people are still sweating that much. Like when the frame rate conversation is now boiled down to, well, do you have ray tracing in your fucking game? Like when the conversation for PS5 and Xbox Series X is now just evolved into, you got ray tracing? Like, are you hitting a native 4K? And I'm kind of like, do we still give this much of a shit? Like at this point, like, okay, fine. Like now, if you want to boost the frame rate to 120, cool. That's fine. I think that one's probably more exciting than fucking the 4K in itself. But okay, cool. And I'm sitting there questioning myself, like, but how much more is a Pro gonna cost? Because it's not like you're gonna drop the. Are you dropping the price of the base PS5? Is the PS5 still gonna be $500 or $400 plus an extra $100 for a disk drive? Still, the point I'm making is it still gonna be that price? Because if it is, what fucking difference does it make? Like, then my question is, how much more is a Pro then? Like, is a Pro gonna be $100 more? $200 more? Actually, you know what I could do? You think I remember this, but I don't. But I guess what I could look up is how much was the original PS4 Pro? I need the wiki. How much was the PS4 Pro when it came out? It may drop $50 when the Pro releases. So what? $349 without the disc, and $449 with the disc drive. I mean, that's possible. But that tells me they're probably gonna release the fucking Pro at like, was it $399? Wait, the original PS4 was $300? If we go by that logic, then I forgot that consoles used to be less than $400. If we go by that logic, then that means that at least the PS4 Pro, I mean the PS5 Pro, is probably going to be at least $600. Hey guys, they did the drop, the PS5. Yeah, I saw that. Although that ends in like a week, Red Dragon. It ends on the 16th. So a little bit over a week. It's like a week and a day currently. Or probably a week by the time tonight is over. But the point I'm making is that we should expect the PS5 Pro at most to be $600. And at least $550. If that bitch is $650, we gonna have a fucking problem. Because motherfuckers ain't gonna pay for that. Most people are content now. I don't really hear anyone complain. Has anyone heard people complain about their PS5s? That's why I thought it was weird that they even talking about a Pro. I mean, it makes sense in terms of timing, but it also don't feel like we've been in the PS5 generation that long. Technically, because we haven't. Like, we're in our third year now. But, let's see something. I expect them to drop the OG 5's price before that. But I'm looking now. But yeah, the PS5 has only been out for, we're a little bit over 2 years. Like, we hit our second year last year, and we're like halfway to the, nah, that's cap. Jesus Christ, Orion. So you don't believe you don't believe they'll drop it at all? You don't think they'll drop it at all? I've had my PS5 since January of 2021. No complaints thus far. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got it. Actually, you got it pretty close to launch in Apex. You got it like fucking, what, like a couple months after launch? You crazy person, you? This isn't Nintendo. What you trying to say, Red Dragon? The point I'm making is just like, the PS5 is still relatively young. By the time they're even talking about releasing this thing, it'll be 4 years old. And we don't even know. And then this year is already kind of a weird year for games as it is. On top of the fucking VR2 and the goddamn discless version and the fucking Q Lite that won't be worth the money. Because you're talking about a handheld that really doesn't do anything. Sony tends to drop prices. Yeah, but like even this whole 509 shit for the bundle is only going to be until the 16th. And then it's going to go back to 550. This whole PS5 Pro talk is supposed to be for holiday 2024. Which is kind of weird that we're hearing about it this early. Because we probably won't even get an announcement of it until like next year. There's like no reason to bring it up right now. So I can't imagine them to be like, oh yeah, by the way, just so you know, we got a new PS5 coming. I'm like, no. But yeah, I don't. If they drop price, it won't be for like another year. They'll let another Christmas go by first. So it is viable. It's just shit. Goddamn. It's viable. I just don't see them doing it anytime soon. We got like another year before I would think they're gonna do anything. Yeah. I'll let you guys give comments while I eat these chips for a second. That would make sense, Apex. I don't see the point in rushing a release for the Pro. Well, I say rushing, but it's not really rushing. I just don't see the point of a Pro next year. Well, your motherfucker is already talking about capping out a PS5. Have we even seen the best the PS5 can do? Like, people have already said that about Nintendo Switch a couple of times, that we've already seen the best that console can do. Are people looking at the PS5 going, that's the best it's gonna get, and being like, that's it? I'm just trying to figure out, because I don't think that's happening. That's what I'm saying. Now, unless Spider-Man comes out and you're like, man, Spider-Man is doing too damn much. Which I don't even believe that's going to be the case. Because all they're going to do, Spider-Man should mainly be reusing assets anyway. Because you already got the remaster on PS5. You have Miles Morales. And it's not like, unless Spider-Man 2 is going to be completely different. And I doubt it will be. Not for the second game. Spider-Man 2 isn't going to be that fucking intensive game. I don't even think Wolverine will be that intensive game. Like, you're gonna have to show me a hell of a showcase to make me go, damn, that's only possible on a PS5 Pro. I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it. I just think it's kind of unnecessary to have it that fucking to have it not early, but just for it to be in the works already. But then again, it's not like we're supposed to know about it right now anyway. But it's the internet, so we do. The Q Lite seems fucking worthless, though. The Q Lite, to me, seems like it's going to be incredibly niche. So in my opinion, if you put that bitch over $200, and it does exactly what I've been hearing it does, which is essentially be a fake ass Switch or Steam Deck, to where it's like, hey guys, we don't really do a lot on our own, but we can remote play from our console. Like, if that's really the main gimmick of a Q Lite, and that bitch is $350 or $400, you can go kill yourself. That's ridiculous. For something that essentially is just a remote play option. Like, I'm not even like, it better not even have a game cartridge on the back of it. Like, it literally is just an extension of the PS5, like the detachable disc drive. So I'm like, it better not be. That's my whole thing. It better not be. But that is a personal opinion. But before we jump into the Mario movie spoilers, because I'm not going to talk about the film and not talk about spoilers, right? So, before we jump into that, is there any other gaming related topic you want to bring up to me that we can discuss before we jump into the movie? Because when I talk about this movie, it's going to be a full spoiler conversation. This will also give people time to leave if they don't want to hear about the movie spoilers. Not like there's a lot to really be spoiled, but I do want to talk about the movie without having to hold off spoilers. Plus that, most of you guys who are seeing the movie have either seen it tonight or you're about to see it very soon. This is the earliest I've talked about spoilers, but there's also been a lot of conversation between the review scores. If anyone's looked, the review scores online, I believe, has been the critics are insanely, they're I think they have it at a 56, and the audience score is at a 90-some percent. Now granted, no one should pay Rotten Tomatoes any attention. What I pay attention is online reviewers if I'm going to listen to reviews at all. You got to be To me, I gotta see a YouTube channel or a podcast or something, and you gotta have already a good reputation with me. Also, because I want to roast, what's her name, Grace Randolph's. Your camera from like 10 years ago looks better than this camera. Really, bro? Is it just not focused? Because usually this camera looked good. Not sure. The problem with audience score is the audience score is a little biased. That's the only problem about audience score. That's why I don't want to completely disavow the critic score. But I do want to talk about the Mario movie and its spoilers. So if y'all don't have A, anything else to talk about, or B, are ready to get into it, we're going to talk about the Mario movie. I'm also going to low-key roast the fuck out of Grace Randolph's review, because that shit was fucking terrible. It was terrible because she lied. She flat out lied. Actually, real quick, because I'm a little tempted. Is Grace Randolph, I don't know if y'all know her, she's essentially known as a movie reviewer. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Am I saying her last name right? Her channel is Beyond the Trailer. That might be better for you guys. Do y'all know the channel Beyond the Trailer? Whoa, shit. Let's see. You should react to the critic reviews. Oh, no, I was about to, actually. I don't know if Grace is known for... Oh, what in the fuck? No. I hope my headphones didn't fall out. They both fell out. Damn. That's terrible. Where the hell did they go? Fuck me. My fucking earbuds fell out and neither of them fell in places that were easily viewed. Did they even, where the hell did they go? That's crazy to me. Oh wait, there's one. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. What the fuck? I like moved my hand and completely screwed myself. I've heard of her. Some of her reviews are cool, but when she misses, she damn near jumps off a cliff. Well, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna let you guys hear her review of the Mario movie and make your and let you hear some of the nonsense, because I know there was a bunch of shit she said in there that I was like, on my first listening to her, I was like, you're out of your fucking mind. You sound like you're talking completely out of your ass. And like, that's insane to me. Hold on. Oh, you haven't seen the movie? That's fine. Yeah, we about to roast her. Where the fuck? Hold on. Bro, how does this happen? I dropped the earbud and for some reason, one of the buds was near my feet. The other one, it went flying and I have no idea where the fuck it went. That's crazy. It was one damn earbud. The other one landed like where it should have, which is like right next to the fucking door. Cabinet. The area where I have my fucking Xbox at. This other one has flown off into nowhere land. Which is confusing as shit. Now I'm sitting here dumbfounded, like, what the fuck? Sorry, guys. This shit always happens, bro. Did it fall in my crock? What in the fuck? If it wasn't like an important thing like an earbud, where I can easily see myself accidentally stepping on that bitch, I wouldn't worry about it. But I can easily see myself rolling back in that chair and landing on it and being like, fuck. And I'm gonna just say, for my personal mental health, I don't want to be in that position. Which is why I'm trying to quickly find this earbud first before I continue. Teacher Mario and Sonic fans, get her out of here. She ain't even cooking. She ain't even cooking. How you gonna talk all this shit and you ain't even cooking, bruh? You ain't even made me some baked beans and your ass over here acting like you better than me. The fuck? Oh my goodness. Where the fuck is this earbud? God, please don't tell me I roll over it. I'm so paranoid to move this. Where did this bitch go? Don't make no sense. It's a goddamn... Hold on. Ugh! This don't make no sense, bro. How the fuck does an earbud go flying? But the first one is like right in my vicinity. The second one's like, nah, son. Let me fly away on some fucking penny and stocking shit. For those who got that reference, you're great. We love you. If you didn't, it's okay. Just get yourself educated. Get some help. I thought maybe it landed on the floor. It didn't even do that. What the fuck? This is terrible, bro. Oh my God, what? This bitch flew all back behind the goddamn desk like this motherfucker was Spider-Man. Jesus Christ. Damn. But we did indeed find it, so I'll take that as a victory. But what the fuck? I'm sitting here trying to cook, and Gravity's out here being a crazy bitch. Alright, so for this not to overlap, it's about 14 minutes. This might be even more fun than just spoiling the movie. We'll see how long this lasts. Alright. Where is it? Put it over here. So let's hear Miss Randolph's opinions on the Mario movie, because this shit sounded ridiculous when she talked. When I heard her speak, I was like, this don't even sound right. Let's let her speak about the movie.
So wow, I'm kind of shocked at how bad this movie is. Universal knows though.
This is how we're starting. We're starting on a great. We're starting so great with this one. Jesus fucking Christ.
Universal knows, which is why the embargo is lifting mere hours before the movie premieres. I don't think this is going to make $1 billion. I think it might still have a big opening weekend. I don't even know if it's going to make it to Friday. I think word of mouth on this is going to be toxic, or whatever toxic goo there is in Nintendo world that destroys stuff that it touches. So let me walk you through this, right? Because I know a lot of you aren't going to believe me, but I think you're going to be seeing a lot of bad reviews drop right now. And yeah, it's unfortunately true. Now, as I've mentioned before when discussing this movie, I don't play Nintendo games, right? Like I know who the characters are, well, like the big ones, but I'm certainly not a Nintendo fan. But you know, just like I say movies shouldn't require homework, this should be accessible to a non-Nintendo fan.
That is true. The movie's goal is to appeal to a broad audience. So if you're not a Nintendo fan, you should be able to enjoy the film regardless. And she did say she's not a Nintendo fan going into this. Now, I'm going to be real with you. There's still a couple things she's going to say. She's going to say something that's still going to piss me off knowing that she's not a Nintendo fan. Because some of this shit, you should just know. But let's get into it.
Especially if it wants to make $1 billion. But you know, I do love Illumination movies. I watch The Grinch every year. I love Illumination.
This is already the first part she fucked up at. Illumination doesn't have a good track record of films. I want this to be stated, okay? That was like my biggest fucking concern when we heard the Mario movie was coming out and heard that Illumination is the one who got the rights. I'm like, oh, fuck. Because Illumination is notorious for fucking up. Like, what they'll do is they'll have one good, strong film. Like their first film, like Despicable Me will be a really good, strong first film. And then it gets progressively worse as it goes on. Like, I'm even looking at the list of films she shows on here. Horton Hears a Who was fine. Despicable Me 1 is fine. Hop, absolutely not. We don't talk about. Lorax is a piece of shit in the worst way. Then you got Despicable Me 2, which is okay, but it's not as good as the first one. Then you have, I think it's the Minions movie, Secret Lives of Pets, which I've heard very mediocre things about. Sing 1, which I heard was fine. Despicable Me 3 is where people really started checking the fuck out. The Grinch, which I've heard nothing positive about. Secret Lives of Pets 2, I've heard even less about. Sing 2, same thing. Ugly Dolls, I don't even think I've heard of that one. And then, the Minions Rise of Gru. And I'm just like, so like, it never... That's why she's a fucking liar. She didn't watch the OG Grinch. That's what I'm saying. There are so many good... She's talking about the Illumination Grinch, which to me wasn't that good. So, Illumination does not have consistently good films. They usually have maybe one or two good, strong first films, and then the rest of the films kind of devolve into fuckery. Some of them are okay enough. Like Despicable Me, even with its problems, like the second film I wouldn't call terrible by any means. It's just not as good as the first film, but it's not a bad film in its own right. It's just, it's fine. It's not until we get to like the third and Minions movies where you're just like, oh, this is where we're at. So the biggest concern most people had going into this film is that Illumination doesn't have a good track record, like at all. It has a decent to like it's like if you had to rate it as a studio, it's like a 3-star studio. It can give you good shit, but it never gives you good shit consistently. Like I'll be real with you, even with this movie coming out as good as it did, I'm still incredibly scared for the second film because Illumination has bad track records. So that's the first thing. Sorry, we're only a minute in. I gotta let her talk. I'm sorry.
Films. I think they're fantastic. And the trailers for this have been very bright and fun. Plus, I've been really getting into Universal Studios Super Nintendo World. Like, I haven't had a chance to go there, but I've watched all the videos. I'd like to go there. It looks like a good time. So I'm like, this seems fun. Everybody's so excited for Super Nintendo World, for this movie, right? And who doesn't love a party? I'm like, I want to be in here too, everybody. Move over. So I was very excited for my press screening. I was like, oh boy. So there were about 40 of us in the basement of AMC Lincoln Square.
Also, side note, Apex, if it's already made $200 million, it's only been 3 days. Remember, the movie came out Wednesday and today's Friday. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's all. It's only been 3 days. Just putting it out. It makes it sound better, but I'm just saying.
And they gave us free snacks. Yummy. And it was very nice. I had a great seat. Wasn't too crowded. I had like my space. I was set. I was like, oh boy. But then the movie started, and again, out of like 40 of us critics, it was a critics-only screening. The all media is tonight. It was a critics-only screening, and I would say out of 40, maybe 2 people were enjoying and laughing at the movie. They were having a good time, though. Maybe you're one of those too. But the rest of us just sat there in stony silence, just waiting for the movie to end. You were like, oh, whew. I mean, I also was not only not enjoying it, but I was shocked that I couldn't get into the movie. I was like, how is this bad? I haven't had this hard a time watching a movie since DC Super Pets. I would describe both of these movies as torture to sit through.
That's reckless.
And I like comic books. I like mythology. I get into stuff. I'm open to getting into new fandoms. So the fact that I was like, make it stop, was pretty bad.
That's ridiculous.
Although I wanted to walk out of DC Super Pets, as I told you. And the only reason I stayed was because, again, I'm reviewing it. I'd love to be able to say, hey, it gets really good. Narrator, it does not.
See, that's insane to me. Like, even if you're not a Mario fan, I can't imagine you being like, this was torture. But you'll see why she says that as we go through it.
And also, the visuals here were pretty good. And I really like Anya Taylor-Joy's Princess Peach and Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. So,
the kicker is, those are like the two laziest performances in the movie. like here, just to put context here. I like Seth Rogen as DK conceptually, but like, it's literally like, when you hear them voice act, it's just Seth Rogen. Same thing with Anya Taylor. It's just her. It's not Peach. Like, there is no, like, it trips me out that like the two voices she mentioned are like the two laziest voices in the movie. And I like the movie, but like, Jesus fucking Christ. Peach to me being like the least interesting of all of them, honestly. I'll get into it as we talk about it.
Wasn't quite as bad as Super Pets, but it was close. It was bad. But speaking of the amazing visuals, Super Mario Brothers is available in 3D. And if you like 3D and you're willing to pay a couple extra bucks for it, you might want to consider it. Also, maybe as a safety net, because the movie's so bad, at least you'll have peak visuals. Particularly the Mario Kart sequences. When I was watching those, I was like, wow, I bet these would look pretty good in 3D. I mean, I think the movie's actually been made to be seen in 3D. I think they should be advertising that more. Like the rainbow road gets all swirly, and then the camera starts swirling, and you're like, oh, this is cool. And I was like, oh, why aren't I watching this in 3D? Now, as I said, I've been able to get into other mythologies, but I just couldn't get into this movie despite being a ready and willing participant. I was like, come on, Nintendo World, indoctrinate me. So I thought about it, and I saw it last night, and I've been like, why couldn't I get into this movie? And this morning, eureka, it clicked, and I realized the problem. The Super Mario Brothers movie, this latest one, they did the live action one many years ago. But while this is supposed to be an origin story where Mario and Luigi do discover the Mushroom Kingdom for the very first time, I didn't even know it was called the Mushroom Kingdom. I had to look it up. It's not even made clear in the movie.
I don't understand how it wasn't made clear in the movie. This is where she starts saying shit that just tells me she wasn't paying attention. Because she starts saying things along the lines of like, oh, the movie doesn't explain things. And I'm like, Toad says, welcome to the Mushroom Kingdom. And Mario even comments on it. Like, that's when he first gets there. So the bitch is just lying at this point. Like, no bullshit. Like, she's lying. The movie tells you in the beginning of the film you weren't listening at all if you didn't hear that part.
But the movie is written for fans and fans only.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's written for fans only. I would say if you are a fan, it very much heightens your experience, but I don't think it's only for fans. I will say it's very fan heavy, so I could kind of see where you can make that distinction.
Nothing is explained to the audience.
That's about 50-50. I can see that argument because they don't explain a lot of shit in the film. You're kind of just supposed to take it at face value. The other thing is that you're watching an animated film. They're not going to explain everything. They're not going to explain everything, but some things are explained.
Not the world, not the characters, not the circumstance.
I don't understand what that means. The world, the characters, and the circumstance. What do you mean? I don't understand what that means when she says it. She's like, nothing's explained. Not the world, not the characters, not the circumstance. The circumstance is that Mario and Luigi fell into a warp pipe, got separated, and then fucking Toad is like, oh, the area your brother probably ended up in was probably the Darklands, which is where Bowser's at, who's a very dangerous guy. The characters, I don't understand what she means it wasn't explained. Like, the whole premise of the film is explained. Bowser's coming because he's already been wrecking worlds, and Peach needs to get the Kong's help to help defend her kingdom, otherwise he's going to get destroyed. And Mario needs to find his brother, who Bowser probably at this point has locked up, or is in the area where Bowser's at, so he needs help to get there to save his brother. Like, none of this shit is not explained. No, like, I don't understand what the fuck she's talking about when she says that. We're reviewing a reviewer's review on Super Mario Brothers movie, so there are spoilers, so be warned.
Answers, and not even really the point. Now, some of you might be like, good, I'm a fan, and I just want to get to it. I mean, there's nothing to get to, but, you know, a good screenwriter, you know, screenwriting, it's always been disrespected in Hollywood, but this is like, it's at its lowest point right now. Like, a good screenwriter can make this fun for everyone, right? This is like Nintendo Easter Egg the movie, the opposite of Andor. This is just all Easter eggs.
Technically, it is a lot of Easter eggs. But like I said, it's not like a general audience can't understand it either.
You just choke on them. It's too much candy. After a brief opening, which is...
Also, I don't understand how she would say it's Easter Egg the movie if she doesn't play Mario video games, now that I think about it. Like, if she doesn't have any history with Mario and doesn't know Mario lore, how would you even know it's Easter Eggs the movie? Because you're not gonna catch it because you don't know it. So how would you know it's like it's a channel called Beyond the Trailer. Her name is Grace Randolph. This is her review of the Mario Brothers movie. I don't understand. Yeah, I just realized that. It didn't make any fucking sense. How would she know it's Easter Egg the movie when she doesn't play or like indulge in Nintendo/Mario content? So how would you even know? Liar.
Is very Illumination. It seems more Illumination than Nintendo. You could be watching a scene from Sing or Secret Life of Pets, quite frankly. But then after that, there's like no story. Well, and what little story they do have, I found a couple of things. One was confusing. Like, why don't any of the other humans look like Mario and his family? And
what does that even... I don't understand that particular question because they're all like animated creatures, animated people. So I'm like, what do you mean they don't look like... You mean why they don't look like they're related to them? Because they're not? Like, that one's such a weird comment. I don't know, bro.
Why is the human world super realistic yet full of cartoon-looking characters?
What the fuck? What the fuck? So why don't the humans look like Mario and Luigi? But then why are the humans in a realistic world? Because it's supposed to contrast the more fantastical world of the Mushroom fucking Kingdom. What are you talking about? Good God Almighty.
I was like, that's weird. The animation, though, again, is stunning. And some of the backgrounds in the human world looked almost real. But again, that was so bizarre that there were cartoons running around in there. Back to the story, I would also say it's a little disturbing. Because apparently in the games, Bowser, I had to look it up, Bowser is obsessed with Princess Peach. And has been for a very long time. But in today's marketplace, post-Me Too, to hear Bowser declare that he's going to ask Princess Peach to marry him, which apparently isn't a spoiler because I looked it up and it happens in the games all the time. But he's like, I'm going to ask Princess Peach to marry me. And like his little sycophant sorcerer is like, what if she doesn't want to? And he's like, then I'll destroy her kingdom and kill everyone she knows. And you're like, wow, that's stalker behavior. And I would say, kind of makes this not appropriate for children.
Oh my God. Are we really doing that conversation? It's not appropriate for kids because of the premise. Even though Bowser is the villain and is portrayed as the villain, they never act like what he's doing or saying is right. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's not supposed to be the good guy, Grace. He's supposed to be a villain, which means he does shit that isn't socially acceptable. By that logic, you say, well, what about the villain who just wants to kill people? Well, murder is wrong. well, that just seems like that's not appropriate for children. No, the lesson is that he's wrong. The only way that argument works is if they were acting like what he was doing was okay. And they don't. What the fuck? That's crazy to me.
Quite frankly. And I would argue that most of the movie is about who's going to date Princess Peach.
That's not true at all, actually. Mario isn't even interested in dating Princess Peach. There is nothing in the movie. They talk and they flirt a little bit, but like they don't even like do the stereotypical guy gets the girl and then they kiss and shit. Like there's no even confirmation that they're dating. It's very much the early parts of their interactions and relationship. Like, ironically enough, that's the one thing I gave Illumination credit for. They didn't just have Peach immediately fall in love with Mario and it turned into like a romance thing. Like, what's really happening is that throughout the film, Bowser 100% wants Peach the whole fucking time. Mario is just mainly concerned about his brother, but he is concerned about Peach to some extent. And they do end up interacting and bonding a little bit and becoming closer. I wouldn't say like we're about to date close, but closer, right? And what's happening is that Bowser's being super fucking insecure and seeing Mario interacting with Peach on a friendly level, like he's not better than me. Fuck him, I'm gonna kill his brother. Like that's him being on some jealous shit. But Mario isn't like overtly flirting with Peach. He's like, man, what am I gonna do? I should ask her if she wants to be my girlfriend. Like he's not even doing any of that. They're cool, and obviously it's the beginning of that direction. But like it like the movie never even full on goes that. It's usually her. It's Bowser's like that for Peach, and Bowser perceives Mario that way for Peach. But like Mario himself isn't like, bro, I love her. Like that, they're never like it, or like, bro, she's a doll. Like that, like nothing. It never goes that way. So it trips me out, bro. And this bitch loved Grinch. She loved the Illumination's Grinch. Get out of here, bro.
And that's it. My jaw was on the floor. I'm like, is that really what this movie is about? That is a really outdated story. I think fans and just moviegoers in general, and everybody associated with this film, deserve more.
I just want to put this in context. She's completely ignoring the brotherly aspect of the film with him and Luigi, which is to me one of the strongest things in the fucking film, is how much Luigi and Mario care for each other. That was the shit that surprised me. I was pleasantly surprised to see how much we got a good amount of like Mario and Luigi love for each other, which I appreciate because the games don't really show it off much. But the most you usually get of that is probably in Luigi's Mansion games. That's when you get the most of like the brother relationship. This movie actually handles it really well, and I fucking love that shit. Yeah. Oh, by the way, did y'all see that Jack Black has a music video on Lyrical Lemonade titled Peaches, 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 Peaches. All right, we'll stop. We're not going to go into it. But that does exist. Came out today, actually.
And it's a shame because Jack Black does a fantastic job as Bowser. You can't even recognize that it's Jack Black's voice.
That's not true, but I can see it was a good performance. But you can tell it's Jack Black.
Then Bowser sings, and you're like, "Oh yeah, he's voiced by Jack Black." And you still can't tell that it's Jack Black. And I think that the talent is definitely here. It's really just the script. So Jack Black was fantastic. Also, in an effort to move away from speaking of disturbing, I would also classify this movie as a little offensive because instead of doing the Italian accents, ironically, because they were worried about being offensive. Instead, they decided to give everyone a variation of a New York accent, which again, I found kind of offensive. It's like everyone's either in Goodfellas or a Woody Allen movie. And not just in the New York scenes, by the way. Mario and Luigi live in New York.
To be fair, I've heard other reviewers say this. I don't see a problem with it, but I'm also not a New Yorker. So, like, I guess maybe I'm not the best person to ask. But I didn't find them offensive. But once again, I'm not a New Yorker. Also, it's crazy to me that people talked all this shit and then you're like, well, they're all doing bad Brooklyn accents. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, yo.
City. But you're like, when you get to the Mushroom Kingdom, Donkey Kong Land is the same way. And so you're just kind of like...
What do you mean Donkey Kong Land is the same way? no one in Donkey Kong Land, if we're gonna call it that, or the Kong Jungle. The point is, nobody's fucking talking with a New York accent in DK's area. What the fuck are we talking? What are you talking about?
Why would you make that choice? Like, why do you think that's somehow not offensive and the Italian thing would be?
That's still. Also, side note, I'm not a fan of Cranky Kong's voice. It was not old enough. He sounded like a cool uncle more than a fucking like old grandpa. I don't know. I wasn't in love with the direction they went with him. I like the story beat they were going for with him. I just don't like his voice.
It's just crazy. The movie also leans really heavily on classic hit songs, a little bit the way Guardians of the Galaxy has done. And sometimes it gets your blood pumping. It's not a bad strategy. But here it's very poorly executed. Like, everything just...
I've heard a lot of people critique this part of it. I've heard a lot of people critique that part of it. I'll be real with you. I think it brings variety, considering a lot of the film is very much like, I want to put it this way. If we're talking about like OST, a lot of it is just Mario OST. Like throughout the various games, mind you. But like the majority of the film is Mario OST. But for some reason, everyone was like, bro, why'd you put this real song in here? Why is this real song in here? Why is this real song in here? And they're not even used long. So I guess maybe if you want to have the conversation of why is it in the film or why are they cut so short, I guess you can go that direction. But in terms of like the soundtrack, a lot of it is just straight Mario soundtracks. I don't know. I can see the critique. I just don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see it.
That's when you're like, okay, now we're cooking. It peters out, and they're like, okay, we're done. And you're like, oh, you promised me a fun jam.
Also, side note, I'm gonna mention, since the DK section won't come back up, I love the Diddy tricks. I love the Kongs. Like, I think it's Diddy, Trixie, and Kitty Kong are in that shot. It's the one where like Cranky Kong's like, all right, everyone be quiet, and you hear Diddy in the back, and he's like, that means you too, Diddy. And then you see him, and it's like him, Trixie, and Kitty Kong, I think, are the three that we get to see, which would be Donkey Kong. Oh, was it Chunky? I wasn't sure. I thought it was Kitty. I knew it was Dixie and Diddy, but I thought it might have been Chunky. I'm not sure. Oh, they cut it out for the real life song? I wonder why. This is why I said I want an extended edition. I want an extended edition of this movie so bad. Also because it feels like the movie's not as long as it should be. Like, I very much believe... Oh, it was Chunky? Okay. Chunky. Who the fuck is Chunky? Is Chunky from 64? Because Donkey Kong Country 1 was Donkey and Diddy. The second one was Diddy and Trixie. The third one was Trixie and Kitty. Yeah, it's 64. Okay, that's why. I was curious if they were going to use Candy. I didn't think they were going to, but hey. And she might still be in there. I haven't had a chance. I need to find, like, clips of the film so I can go look. But, like, I'd be curious if Candy's in there at all. But still, the point is that, like, I don't know. The real life music didn't bother me as much.
Like when they start to make the Mario Karts, and one of the Kongs is like puts on his shades and he's like, "What do you want me to do for you?" But he just says it with a nod, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And it seems like it's gonna be awesome. The music starts, they turn up the volume, and then they're done. And I was like, I guess if you've ever built your own Mario Kart, you'd be like, "Oh, cool, it's just like the game." But as someone who has never built a Mario Kart, I still have not had the pleasure of the experience.
I mean, there's not really much to that sequence, but fine, I guess.
But I did really like Anya Taylor-Joy. She is always a delight as an actress on screen, but it turns out she has a great voice for animation as well.
You mean the same voice? The exact same voice as what she speaks with? This bitch literally just sounds like herself. That's it. She just sounds like Peach. That's it. I mean, Peach just sounds like her. There is no acting involved in the sense of like trying to change the pitch or trying to do a voice. She literally is just Peach. Like, she's just doing her voice as Peach. It's ridiculous.
And she's a great sport. Look what she wore to the premiere for the movie.
Oh, she did wear. Oh, she wore She wore essentially a variation of Peach's Mario Kart outfit that she wears. I don't know, bro. I guess I'll quickly talk about Peach because I don't know if we're gonna be able to get into it. Also, let me see if Tyrone beat the fucking thing. Tyrone is still on this goddamn Cell Jr. thing. I feel so bad, bro. It's been like an hour and a half. That's crazy. It's actually probably been more than that. Will this be uploaded to the channel? Oh yeah, definitely. It literally will be up as soon as it finishes. So here's my problem with Peach in the film. So here's my thing. I already don't like the idea of having Peach be the way that they portray her. They portray her essentially like here's my thing. I like Daisy a lot. So when I look at Peach and I see her in this film, she reminds me of Daisy, which is not what she should have been doing. Because that's not Peach. Peach and Daisy are two different kinds of characters, and it very much just feels like they took Peach and made her Daisy, which I do genuinely believe will be a problem if they ever choose to introduce Daisy, because either Daisy is going to have to be extremely different, or they're going to over-exaggerate her boyishness to like an offensive degree. It kind of just depends. But my point is, she's not as bad as they could have gone with her. Like, I want to be fair about it. Peach could have gone as crazy as like some fucking like I am the boss bitch and I get everything done and I don't need nobody, right? She's not that bad. She's just not where I would have preferred her to be. She's also one of the more uninteresting characters in the film because she doesn't have anything going for her other than I do like a little bit of the lore they touched on that she also isn't from the Mushroom Kingdom. She just ended up there as a baby and she doesn't know her lineage, which I think would make for a good like story of trying to find out her lineage. It also allows the movie to kind of like go in its own direction, but focus on her as a character. So like, there's things there. Like, I don't want to act like there aren't things there that I don't mind, but like they kept putting her in this like I still don't like the scythe scene. Like, Peach was cool because she maintained like her dignity and like elegance throughout any situation. Like, that was kind of Peach's whole thing. Peach remained like this elegant princess in every situation, and the movie kind of doesn't do that. She's kind of like this low-key battle warrior who's like a weird badass about everything, and I'm like, there's something wrong with her being like just like a figurehead and like trying to figure shit out. Like, the problem is that there's nothing wrong with her as a character, so there's nothing to relate to. Like, we already see the beginning of Luigi's cowardice, and we know that that's a trait he's gonna have to consistently overcome, right? Mario fucking up and becoming the hero he was meant to be. Those are characters you'll relate to because they have to get to the point, to the version of the character we're so familiar with. My problem with Comic Peach is like that there's no fault in her right now. She's just this consistent badass. And I'm like, that's not what makes a character relatable. We relate to them because we see the humanness in them. We see their humanity. Peach's humanity we don't know. She doesn't have any insecurities. She doesn't have any like flaws. We're just doing the girl boss shit again. And I'm like, that's not overtly interesting. I see what you're going for, but you should be able to do better. Daisy wasn't an established character back then yet. That's fine, but she is now. She is now. That's the problem. So I'm not a huge fan of Peach. Like, she's not bad, but she's not good either. She's just okay. And for the love of God, do a fucking Peach voice, you coward.
Movie. Princess Peach, a variation on Princess Peach's Mario Kart outfit. I thought that was great. I am a little tired, though, of girl power for the sake of girl power characters.
For some reason, this is the thing we ended up agreeing on. I'm going to just let her talk on here because I think I agree with her anyway. And on top of that, I've already said my piece.
Like, if you're not going to fully develop them, I just get frustrated because I know certain groups are going to complain. And, you should have justification for things. It's like, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it. And again, she's all girl power, but yet the movie is just about who she's going to date. She's a princess in name only. I didn't see her make any rules or control the kingdom or anything,
She's kind of wrong on that one. She's the one who focuses on the evacuation of the toads when they get separated on Rainbow Road and everyone else gets captured. Her main concern is going back to the kingdom and evacuating the citizens. I would disagree with that. She does things. She doesn't do a lot, but she does do some things. So I don't think that's true.
She just kind of went on a date with Mario, and Bowser was really jealous about it.
That it wasn't a date. You fuck. You already.
You're like, is this really what this movie is about? Keegan-Michael Key's voice is also unrecognizable as Toad, which is a shame. I love Keegan-Michael.
It was a good performance by him. 100%. Really good fucking performance by him.
Okay. But Toad is adorable, and he serves as a good ad for his new restaurant at Universal Studios. In fact, I wish he'd done more cooking. I was like, oh, that's why he has a restaurant. That's great. That's awesome.
I don't know if that's a reference to anything, because I don't understand the cooking thing. The only cooking reference I can think of that would have made sense in is the fact that, like, Smash Brothers, and he's with her, and Peach uses a frying pan, but, like, or Captain Toad, those are, like, the only two Toad references that made sense to me. I don't really understand any of it else. But someone can correct me, but that's the only thing I could figure out with that.
Awesome. What are you making? There was one quick moment where I can't do a spoiler review for this movie because I still can't really tell you what happened in it. But there was like one distraction, and I felt like they didn't even do that right. I was like, tell them that there's good food back there, Mario. Why do you be like...
She's talking about the gag in the beginning that doesn't make sense to me because, once again, I don't understand the reference. It's when they first get to the castle and they have to distract the other Toads, and he distracts them by cooking some shit, which didn't make sense to me because I didn't understand the reference. But I can't. Is her complaint the fact that they didn't like make it an ad for the theme park, or is she? Or she just wanted or did she just want the joke to continue? I don't know. Both of them seem like bad things, but you know.
Like, hey, he's cooking up something back there. I was like, that's clearly the move. All right, so speaking of Mario, how's Chris Pratt? Everybody wants to know, how's Chris Pratt? Well, he's doing a thick New York accent, so he doesn't sound too much like Chris Pratt. I mean, occasionally you're like, there he is. And Chris Pratt, by the way, outside of the controversy that surrounds him, he's a very good actor, a very likable actor, and he does a good job in that regard with, the emotion and all that stuff. He certainly is able to deliver in that capacity. But again, the script is so awful. Mario and Luigi's...
Side note, he does a good job. He does... People talked all that shit about Chris Pratt. He does a good job. Does a damn good job. I fuck with him as Mario. Next film, that's my Mario.
Relationship just seems really forced.
What the fuck are you talking about? It's like one of the best things in the film. Their relationship, because they're brothers, seems forced. What are you Let it go. I'm gonna just let it go.
It's like screenwriter Matthew Fogel, who should never work again, he's done a couple of stuff for Illumination. That's about it. It's like he saw Frozen and decided to do the male version of Elsa and Anna, but none of the work to make it work.
What the fuck does that mean? So what, you saying there's no... I guess what she's referring to is because there's not as much backstory, whereas like in Frozen, you did get a good chunk of time with them as kids. Although the movie's focuses are completely different, and you do get flashbacks with baby Mario and baby Luigi, and you get a lot of moments of them being bros. How does it feel forced when this is your first introduction to them? What the fuck? They're brothers. They care for each other. They're family. They went into business together. They have each other's backs. I don't understand what about that seems forced. The Mario brothers. Like, what the fuck?
And since they insisted on putting Mario in the real world, so to speak, why do he and Luigi wear those funny outfits and gloves? I was like,
what the fuck? They make a joke about this in the film. Their parents get on them about that. Why are you wearing the colorful outfits and the gloves, guys? It looks kind of stupid to me. What kind of plumber wears gloves? And then they're like, and Mario's like, it's a trademark. It's kind of like we stand out that way. What the fuck? They say it in the beginning of the film. Once again, didn't listen. Didn't fucking listen.
Guys look ridiculous. I mean, none of it made sense. Nothing in the movie made sense. So
this is like the weirdest statement I've heard. Nothing in the film made sense. Even though she just mentioned something that was perfectly explained in the beginning of the film. Fucking listen, damn. Get off your fucking phone.
it was hard for me to get into any of it. Speaking of Mario and Luigi, though, Charles Martinet, he had a nice cameo. He is the OG and current voice of Mario and Luigi in the games, and a lot of fans were disappointed he's not voicing them here. But even I was like, oh, that's Charles Martinet. That's awesome. And I think it was a very nice thing to do for him. He showed up, I think, twice. He showed up like twice. Very, very briefly, but it was cute. Even the action sequences aren't that exciting. There's like no suspense. It's just like, oh, hey, look, it's like the game. But you never really feel like you're running any of the gauntlets yourself. You still look like you're watching the game screen instead of being put into the action. That's the whole benefit of making it a movie.
The only thing that makes sense by that statement is if you want it first person view, because that's the only way you're gonna get it. And I think they handled the action sequences good, though. In my opinion, they handled them well. I've heard someone else say that there weren't enough Mario like action sequences. Part of this being because in the middle of the film they kind of skipped the traversal, which kind of, I think everybody was like, man, I wanted to see more of that. I think everyone's like that, but I think they really wanted this movie to be an hour and 30 minutes. I think their goal was, I'd rather you want more than want less. This is why I keep already saying I want a fucking extended edition, because there's a bunch of shit in here. And the reference there would be that a lot of the Mario areas are skipped for the sake of brevity. But god damn it, I wanted to see some of that because the world is interesting.
And then when could Mario turn into a cat?
This is something that technically she's already admitted she wouldn't know because she hasn't like kept up with the games. Now all the Mario fans in the house already understand this is from fucking 3D World, a game that is 10 years old at this point. So everyone in the back is like, you should have already seen this. But I'm like conflicted because I want to call her a fucking dumbass for not knowing, but she did say that she doesn't follow the game, so she technically wouldn't know. But fuck you, you're still a dumbass because it's from the games, you ass.
I guess like if you're into furries, that works, and maybe that'll play really well in Asian markets. I know they love cats over there.
How are you gonna say some offensive shit like that, by the way? How is that? How are you gonna talk about the accents being offensive and the Brooklyn or the Italian accents being offensive, but then make the most stereotypical Asian joke? When could Mario dress up as a cat? Is he a furry? That will appeal to Asian markets. Oh, you stupid bitch. What is wrong with you? Bro, that's crazy.
There like love cats. But I just felt it robbed Mario of a lot of his personal dignity. I was like, don't do that to Mario. Where's Mario's agent? There are also 2 end credit scenes, but they're not really noteworthy. One's comedic. The second one tries to set up a potential sequel. They're like, oh, if we make another one of these, this character's going to show up. Get excited. But that character kind of showed up earlier in the film in the background in a way, like at least a variation of that.
How the fuck did she notice that? That's what confuses me. She's friends with the Yoshi one. You got the Peaches song part 2, and then you got Yoshi. So you were observant enough to notice the Yoshis in the background, but you fucking didn't. Whatever, bro. Whatever.
Them, I spotted them. And this end credit scene is so quick that it's hard to get super excited unless you're just so excited about that character. Just like the mere tease or mention or like blip of him is enough. So yeah, this is a mess. There's no story. Nothing is explained to newbies like myself. It's kind of offensive, and none of the animation styles fit together because I guess maybe they're different games. I mean, I guess it looks this way in Mario Kart, right? But from a story perspective, it just did not work for me.
She just said a whole bunch of fucking nothing, bro. Fuck was that? Nothing made sense to her because she wasn't paying attention. The animation styles clash. What? It's only two. Oh my god. I have never heard a review this painfully off the mark. Like on almost everything. I'm surprised she didn't go, well, the animation didn't look good. Like, just to be a contrarian to everything. Because everything else she said just sounded like it. Jesus fucking Christ.
I have never seen an Illumination misfire this bad. In fact,
are you shitting me? The Lorax is on that list. That absolutely ruins it. Anytime she brings up fucking Illumination and you got the Lorax on that motherfucking list and you're like, I don't think I've ever seen Illumination. This shit is, you can't say anything worse than that to me. To be like, bro, Illumination doesn't have misfires. Bitch, what are you talking about? Hop, the Lorax, the Minions film, the Grinch. Jesus fucking Christ. What do you mean? The Lorax is dog shit. I want people to understand. The Lorax is absolutely, it's one of the few Dr. Seuss adaptations that not only does not work, but isn't even properly explained. It's like, it's such a bad adaptation, it's offensive. So to me, to say Illumination has always had great films, and the Lorax is on that fucking list, you're out of your goddamn mind.
it just did not work for me. I have never seen an Illumination misfire this bad. In fact, I don't think they've ever misfired. This is not only the worst movie.
What do you mean they've ever misfired? I just named 4 fucking films that were dogs, bruh. How in the fuck? How? How are you a movie critic and you had the nerve to sit there like, Illumination doesn't have bad films? They're almost, it's almost like a good 60-40, it's like a 60-40 split where like almost half of their films are some shit. Or maybe, or if I had to be generous, it's like 70-30. The point is, it's like at least a good third, almost to a half of their fucking films are some shit. And the only films that do well are the ones that get the sequels, but then they'll run that IP into the ground with the sequels. Fuck is wrong with you? Christ almighty.
They've ever made, but in my opinion, the only bad movie they've ever made.
Fucking you're a liar. What? Sorry, I'm being redundant, but it pisses me off because she keeps saying shit that gets me angry. That to me, for some reason she wants to sing the Illumination high praises based off of what? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense what she's referring to. Illumination doesn't have bad films. Fuck you. Fuck you. What are you talking about? Your credibility's shot just off of that statement alone. Regardless of anything else terrible you said in this fucking review.
There's no story, nothing is explained to newbies like myself. It's kind of offensive, and none of the animation styles fit together because I guess maybe they're different games. I mean, I guess it looks this way in Mario Kart, right? But from a story perspective, it just did not work for me. I have never seen an Illumination misfire this bad. In fact, I don't think they've ever misfired. This is not only the worst movie they've ever made, but in my opinion, the only bad movie they've ever made. And maybe what's different here, it's because Nintendo was so involved creatively, as you can see from the credits when you watch the movie.
Fuck you. Fuck you. That is it. That is the line. That is, you can go eat a bag of dicks. That was the reason why the film was bad is because Nintendo was so involved creatively. No, you fucking assholes. That's the reason why the film didn't come out as some modernized piece of bullshit. Because Illumination's track record on their own is some dick. Nintendo at least was able to, one, throw in all the Easter eggs for the fans of the series, and two, keep them from going too far left like Illumination is known to do in some of their other adaptations, you fucking asshole, man. Oh my god. This is fucking finish this bitch out.
I guess it doesn't always work out like with The Last of Us. This was, so that's my review of Super Mario Brothers. If you aren't a fan of the games, you've been warned. But maybe you need to go with somebody who is a Nintendo fan. It's gonna be rough for you. I pity you. But just remember what good friend you're being. And maybe before the movie starts, ask your Nintendo fan friend to explain some of this stuff to you, which might make it a little less painful. But I'll be honest with you, I don't even really think your Nintendo fan friend is gonna like this. All right, so share your thoughts down below. Subscribe. I know a lot of you are.
I also want to put in the context here. Miyamoto very much wanted the film to be a film that could be understood by anyone. Like Miyamoto's whole goal with the film was so anybody could understand the film. And this bitch couldn't, bruh. I'm so angry, dog. How in the world are you this wrong on a review? Sandstorm, you just missed me roasting a critic who had one of the worst takes on this fucking film I've ever heard. But let's go over some genuine thoughts and opinions at the last 10 or so minutes of this stream. Let's see if Tyrone has beaten Cell Juniors yet. He has not. He just died again. Sorry for him. So let's talk about the film. I'm going to do this in bullet points. I think I'm at a solid B+ for the film overall. I enjoyed it. It's a fucking musical treat for the ears. It very much knows Nintendo fans are in the building, and we're giving them everything we can give them musically, visually, references out the ass. Fucking love that shit. It's very fucking respectful. I love Mario and Luigi's brotherhood. I actually really love the Brooklyn shit in the beginning. The Brooklyn stuff in the beginning, I think is really good setup, and I like it a lot. I low-key would like to see more Brooklyn stuff, which we may end up seeing in the sequel. I don't know, but the point is the beginning stuff is really good. Shouts out to Pauline. Yeah, I saw you, girl. You still doing big things up here in Brooklyn. GG's. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a big fan of how Peach is handled, but it's probably the more tolerable route they're gonna go with her. Like, if I gotta do girl boss bullshit, this is like the less offensive girl boss shit you can get, so I'm fine with that. Yes, we shout out the DK rap. The fucking audio is goated. Yeah, I get that there's some licensed tracks in there, but I'm fine with that. There's an insane amount of Easter eggs. I love that shit. I love Mario and Luigi's brotherhood. The beginning, the whimsy of being in the Mushroom Kingdom is 100% there. You get a rendition of Peach's castle theme. I fuck with that. Toad is actually really funny. And the best comedic relief you get in the fucking movie is this Luma, this suicidal Luma. It's the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. I love it. Luigi gets some good moments to himself, especially towards the end with the fucking sewer grate protecting his brother. I love that shit. So good. I feel like the movie has some weird edits in the middle of it. Yeah, the Little Mac. I know what you're talking about. The Little Mac reference, the Punch Out reference. Even the Wrecking Crew reference is goated. I feel like the middle is probably the worst part when they're traveling to Kong Country. You see what I did there? I feel like that's the weakest part because you kind of miss a lot of the whimsy of them traveling. And you can tell that there are some sequences in the trailer that get cut out of the movie entirely, which makes me really want an extended cut because I feel like this movie goes a little bit too quick in that section, just as that being like the prime example of it. So I do hope the extended cut adds in at least a good, 15, 20 minutes of new content, because I feel like it kind of needs it for some better editing, because in the middle it kind of just jumps between the Peaches song to them traveling. I do like Mario and Peaches like banter where it's just casual conversation. It's not like full on flirting, but it's also like not like I'm the best woman there is and no other man can step to me. Like, she's still like relatable and normal and human, and I can like I can like I can enjoy her. The fact exactly, he's playing Kid Icarus on the NES. I fuck with that shit too. Like there's a lot. So the weakest part is in the middle when they're traveling. I like the fact that the Rainbow Road sequence wasn't the main sequence. It's the it's like the rise at the fall. I like the DK fight between him and Mario. I love Donkey Kong and Mario's relationship. They're kind of like cousins. Like they don't get along, but they kind of understand each other. I like the stuff they did. Yeah, the blue shell Koopa shit was goated. That was a really nice setup. I love the way that whole situation flowed. That was fucking great. The Mario Kart section is just a really good set piece in itself. The Donkey Kong Country stuff was great. Seeing Diddy and Trixie in the movie. I'm not a huge fan of Cranky Kong's voice, but I fuck with that whole section. I like the fight and that Mario kind of had to get the right power up and then know how to use it. And he got in DK's ass, and it was cool. I like their relationship. I like the fact that they both kind of feel like abandoned by their fathers. They added it in there, and I think it works for nice effect. That his father doesn't really acknowledge Donkey Kong the way he should. We don't get a lot of it, but we get a little bit of it, and I appreciate it because it's a nice thing in the film. It's a small thing, but it's a nice thing. The Mario Kart section was great. The Inagi reference from 64 was goated. The fact that DK's cart is literally the one he uses in Barrel Blast, fucking lit. Or it's very similar to his Barrel Blast car. It's fucking lit. What else? Home. The final section is great. This final section is absolutely goated. The like DK and Mario storming the castle kind of shit. I fuck with that. Going back to Brooklyn, Luigi protecting his brother, fucking superstar Mario Brothers getting that joint ass whooping in there. Fucking peaches. All that shit was great. It's a good film. It just kind of suffers in the middle a little bit for not having enough of an expanse. I'm not a huge fan of how they're handling Peach, but if they're gonna play with that whole Peach origin about how she's not originally from the Mushroom Kingdom, that could be cool. The Shy Guys getting rep, the Dark, Suicidal Luma. There's a bunch of shit to enjoy. I can't see how you can go into the film and like not say it wasn't fun and that you couldn't enjoy it. If you like, I can understand people saying it wasn't amazing. I can understand people saying we could have got a better, we could have got something better. Like I can understand that. But to say that this was bad or that it was really underwhelming, that's really fucking disrespectful. And motherfuckers need to understand to put respect on my main man Mario and Luigi. And if they want to show Yoshi, cool. I don't really know what that means because the fact that he's from Brooklyn kind of retcons the whole Mario, like Yoshi story stuff or Yoshi's Island stuff. So I don't know if that's the direction they're still going to go, but yeah. But there you go. That's my thoughts of the opinions of the Mario film. It's a good film. Go watch it. Go enjoy it. It's some good shit. It's good shit. It's not amazing, but if you're a Mario fan, you're going to think it's amazing. Like, as a Mario fan, you are going to geek the fuck out in terms of just the references and the love in the film. But if you're someone who's like, if you don't know much of Mario, you're going to know something from this game. You may not know everything, but you're going to know something from the movie. Like, to me, Mario is like Mickey Mouse. There's no way you can go into this shit and not know anything. You're going to know at least the bases that, like, Mario goes to castle, 8 worlds, to find Princess Peach and save her from the evil King Koopa. Like, all that shit still happens, okay? Like, that's all, those are all still things. But yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head I really want to go into. And I felt that was a really balanced stream, all things considered, though, because we did about an hour of PlayStation 5 talk. PlayStation talk, and then we did another hour of Mario talk and commentary. So good shit. Good shit. The first lady sounds like a female version of Bird Logo from Alabama. Alright, my man's a savage. Or woman. I don't know your gender. Or non-bi. Thank you for the comment. Number 136. Thank you for the comment. Oh, Jesus Christ. But with that being said, I think we've hit the 2-hour mark, which is usually the time limit I do for these streams. I think that works. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see if this thing gets claimed by Grace. She may not ever even see it. But if she does, cool. And I suggest for those who didn't see that portion of the video to go back and watch the stream. Peaches. Like, just enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Have the best night of your life. And go watch that Jack Black music video on Lyrical Lemonade with Cole Bennett. It's good shit. It's really good shit. And go watch the Mario movie as if you weren't already planning to anyway. Because this bitch is on track to make a fuck ton of money. And when I say a fuck ton, I mean a fuck ton of money. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all that has to be said. I'm gonna direct you to Tyrone's channel because right now he's in the current process of trying to finish Budokai 1 on very hard mode, and he's having a hell of a time with it. So I want to give him some love. He might actually, I'm not gonna jinx him. Just go support my boy Tyrone in his Twitch endeavors, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for Elden Ring on Twitch at the Insane Game Freak. Yeah, we're kind of rounding down on my spring break. I go back to work on Tuesday, so we're in the weekend now. I'm just going to enjoy the weekend and Monday, and hopefully when we go back to work, because when I go back to work, it's like the rest of next week is a break in terms of nothing crazy, but the week after is fucking testing. So not next week, but the week after, I will be pulling my fucking hair out. So I need this right now. I need this peace and quiet and enjoyment. I need to enjoy it. So, with that being said, this has been your boy, the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. One Piece. Oh, I need Jesus, bro. I'm crazy, y'all. Go support my boy. Did someone say peace as in One Piece chapter? Go to, baby. We out though. Go to. We love you. And go to we trust. Go. I'm fucking stupid.